What's crack-a-lackin', everybody? My name is Beckett.
My name is Alex. And welcome back to the Back on Track podcast. Before we get started, a moment for our sponsor. Cage, please take it away.
No, guys, but in all seriousness, Cage is not here today.
Commit to the bit.
It sounded a lot funnier in our heads, but...
Yeah, so we didn't come up with a sponsor. We thought that would be funnier. So we're just going to go right into current events, because...
Yes.
Boom. So first up on the list, President Biden has announced that all troops remaining in Afghanistan will be removed by September 11th of this year. I think this is the first dub that the Biden administration is going to be taking.
Yeah.
However, they might just be sent somewhere else, like the Capitol.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why that was so funny.
Yeah.
In other Biden news, Russia has been deemed a national security threat, resulting in intense sanctions being placed on them, as well as 10 Russian diplomats being booted over, quote, election meddling, quote. These are baseless claims with no backing. He's starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, this is honestly what every Democratic campaign sounds like. It's just like, Russia is our biggest threat.
There was absolutely zero election interference. We've had the best election ever this year. Also, there was Russian election interference, and we should ban Russia. So
yeah, basically.
Yeah. Also, another thing Biden related, they've reversed President Trump's restrictions on fetal tissue research. So for those who don't know, aborted fetal tissue has been used in the development of cures and vaccines, but President Trump's rules didn't allow any federal funding to go towards it. Now it is going to be resumed, which
boo.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
That's
kind of gross. And aborted fetal tissue was used in the development of, I can't remember which coronavirus vaccines, but it was at least one of them. I want to say it was more than one, though.
Ugh,
yeah,
that's awful. So, what? You just have a part of that child inside of you?
Well, I don't know if I don't think it's the cells that actually go into the vaccine. I think it's they just use it to test out the vaccine. I don't entirely know how it works. I just know that's what they do.
It's gross, no matter what.
Yeah, I agree.
I have one.
Okay.
Biden played his first round of golf, and I know that's not super big news, but no one hated him for that, right? I mean, I know Trump.
Did they even cover that in the news?
No, I don't think so. I mean, somehow they thought other political matters mattered more than Biden playing golf, which I don't understand. Can you believe that?
You mentioned Trump. You said he golfed a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually golfed as much as they told us he did. I'm pretty sure a lot of that was fake.
It was definitely exaggerated, but I know he does like to golf.
Well, he does that's all he's doing right now.
To be honest, I'm sure he's doing things while he's golfing. That's a business thing. People golf to make business happen.
The only people who play golf are people who wear suits and ties.
And also, Biden doubled his goal to 200 million vaccines by April 30th. So...
It would have been 300 million if Donald was here.
Yeah, but that's what we keep going. Stop. We keep going back to it. Trump said we want to do 1 million vaccines a day, and Biden was like, "No,
we're going to do 100 million in 100 days."
And now they're doing 200 million. So
excellent math. Excellent math. This is the last thing we've got. So you probably remember, for months on end during the 2020 presidential race, Biden would not answer on whether or not he would pack the Supreme Court. And a bill has just hit the House floor that would expand the court from 9 to 13 justices. I would say the ball has been set in motion. But we're not going to talk too much about this now, because that's actually what I planned my segment around. Yeah. So we're going to dive into that later. Yeah. And with that said, those are our current events. So take it away, Beckett.
Yes. So my segment is going to be on the kind of coming war in
that quotes. Sounds violent.
I know it's not I know it sounds very dramatic. I just kind of want to talk about where our country seems to be heading. So I wanted to start at peace as a country. It doesn't really seem to last. Just look in history. Peace never lasts very long. There's always people shifting. There's new territories claimed because there's just new rulers, new people, new thoughts, new ideas, and always disagreements. There's always going to be disagreement.
Remember for a month when there was peace in the Middle East?
Yeah.
Last year?
And then it just, not anymore. But
Basement Biden comes rolling in.
Yeah. It only took 72 years after George Washington was elected president for the first time for us to have an inter-country war. George Washington was obviously not still alive during this, but that was the Civil War.
Correct.
So I mean, 72 years, that's not that long. Very young country, and we're already having a dispute, a full-on war in our country, which ended up being the bloodiest war out of all of the wars we fought in.
Right.
So, and I believe there's a war coming in this day and age, but I don't think it's like anything we've seen before. It's not, obviously we're not going to go into another civil war. We're in a much more civilized age. I just didn't know if you had anything on that either, but.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's probably going to look, I think it's the information war.
Yeah.
Almost. And right now you look at the left, like they control big tech, media, Hollywood almost in its entirety. And so I think it could look different, but I think should anything like absolutely like mega serious happen, I think it could. I don't entirely know, but it could look a little uglier than you're saying.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about basically are the things that we need to be on the lookout for, like kind of these signs that like the battle, signs of the battle really. So the things I immediately recognize are freedom of speech and freedom of religion. I think those will be like the first two that they try to really go after. They're going after guns because that's what helps protect those, as Rush Limbaugh said. And
once that's gone, those are on the chopping block next. Yeah. But it's not like they're waiting for that. They're actively trying to pursue that now.
And I know we've talked about freedom of speech, freedom of religion before, and but we're really not going to stop talking about them as
because those are important things,
so, right? And we need to keep fighting for them. So
don't say fight. You're going to get axed.
Yeah. So my first point is the not so secret censorship. Did I even say it right that time? Censorship. This is something that we're all aware of. So censorship has been happening. The biggest places people are being censored are on social media platforms, in my opinion. I think like you hear stories all the time and people are like, I mean,
kind of like where else would they be censored?
We actually got censored a little bit.
That's right.
One of our posts got apparently fact checked and it was a joke.
Yeah, go ahead. No. A couple of our posts got fact checked, but if you go to any of our older episodes where we have our Twitter link, it doesn't work because they deleted our Twitter. We talked about this last time. Oh no, maybe we didn't. It's probably been a while.
Yeah.
Our Twitter's been
guys.
deleted. So I would say censorship in that case, because it's not like we were posting anything like the. What I can't, not the prime minister in Iran. I don't know what the word. It starts with an A. I'm not going to say it because I know I'm going to mess it up. Khamenei. I can't remember his name, but he'll tweet like "Death to America," and it stays up on Twitter.
Yeah.
And Candace Owens brought that up a few times. You see, like Americans are censored more on an American on American social media than dictators.
They're not all that bad. They're just killing their own people and trying to kill us.
Stalin was good.
Yeah.
He only killed 20 million people.
Yeah. Doesn't Alexa, when you ask Alexa, she'll just tell you that, he was just like a dictator in Russia. It doesn't tell you like the number of people he murdered.
We did a TikTok video, and it was about places socialism has worked, right? And I said I was nowhere.
You're pointing,
and we got like
really funny,
we got over 1,000 comments on that. Right, people just arguing back and forth. We're still getting comments, and that was over a week ago, right?
I know people are trying to say like, "Oh no, it did," and it's like they haven't told us one.
Then they'll point to a place like the USSR or China. I'm like, okay, so in China they murder
communists first of all,
communists. Right. They were saying right, but in China they murder Uyghur Muslims, and Stalin killed 20 million people.
And in China, if you say anything about the government, you're not going to be alive.
You're
for
a dead
very
man.
long.
Yeah, but what was his name? Mao Zedong. I'm pretty sure he killed it was in the range of 40 to 60 million people. So they say socialism. We have socialism in America, and I definitely understand what they're trying to say. Like we have police protection, we have schools, and all that covered by taxpayer money, but the socialism in its roots, real socialism, it's a dangerous idea because it will eventually lead to something like losing your freedom of speech, losing your freedom of religion, and that's kind of.
And there's nothing really in our country that we don't have choice on. And that's really where like,
paying taxes.
Switch. Well, that's but if you're, I understand what you're saying, but.
And actually, I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I just remembered something that Biden said. He was saying that the Second Amendment is not absolute. He said no amendment is absolute. So I'm like...
So then they're not really part of the Constitution.
Right. Well, that, and people were like, so what about the 13th Amendment that freed the slaves? Or the 16th Amendment that requires us to pay federal income tax?
Yeah, they would jump all over that if Trump said that. Could you imagine? They'd be like, man, that's super racist.
Listen. It cuts both ways. If the Second Amendment is not absolute, I will happily stop paying taxes.
Yeah, I mean,
but we'll keep our guns.
Keep our guns. Women can't vote anymore.
Wow, Biden, you really did a number on that.
I'm not going to own slaves, but some people will.
Mostly Democrats.
Yeah, to be honest, Biden probably has a couple in his basement, to be honest. I'm so sick of hearing how people call Trump racist. Have you heard that? If you think Trump is racist, just listen.
They're going to put y'all back in chains. That was an actual quote from Biden.
I cannot believe the racist things this old white guy says.
We're going to have to do a whole segment on just racist quotes, like did Trump or Biden say them, and we're just going to do like all Biden said them because
you can't give the segment away, Alex, because now we can't do it.
We'll do it in a few months. Don't forget about it.
Right, yeah, they will. It's all right, all 41 of you.
All right, but we got way off on a tangent there.
Yes.
Please
so
keep
anyways,
going.
One of the biggest examples of like censorship that I've really come across was Steven Crowder on YouTube. Some of his posts have been listed as the quote, may be offensive to some viewers, unquote, and will not appear on restricted mode. So if you have restricted mode turned on YouTube, none of his videos since the 2020 election video will appear. And I've tested this for myself. This is 100% true.
Well, it was that, and then a couple weeks ago, they banned him for like 7 days from posting any videos or going live on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just... and he like constantly calls out YouTube. Oh. He is so angry.
Well, no, but actually, he's been better about YouTube. Because if you remember, he was calling out Twitter mainly because they would like block him like almost like daily. Yeah. But then he was saying YouTube has been better about his channel up until the point where they just completely nuked him.
So when it says may be offensive to some viewers, YouTube actually requires you to sign in, which I know that's kind of frustrating sometimes. You have to remember your email password.
But it's not even as frustrating. It's just another step.
Right.
That because they don't make you do that if you want to watch, James Charles or CNN or MSNBC. Right. I said James Charles.
You did say James Charles.
Messaging little boys.
That is offensive to a lot of viewers. But but you can check that out for yourself if you don't believe me. You can youtube.com/Steven Crowder.
/Steven Crowder.
Yeah. Anyway, you can find his channel. It's going to be the first one that comes up when you search Steven Crowder. But this is only one of many stories that people are like not really able to tell because if they try to, they'll get censored again.
Shut down.
And so social media has become one of the like biggest ways to get news, like by far. Like
I want to say it's probably surpassed traditional media.
Oh yeah.
CNN, even Fox News is rated. They're all cratering.
Because how many times a day do you think people are turning on the news in their house rather than looking on social media or getting even Fox News alerts on your phone? I say that counts because that's like there.
I would say that's news. I mean,
so when a platform chooses to silence people they don't agree with, they take away their voice, and we have to fight for our voice because if we don't, we'll lose it quicker. Quicker than we can imagine. And
the easiest thing. I mean, it's easy to take candy away from a baby because they can't fight back.
Yeah.
So I would say
we're the baby because we don't have the power, we don't have control of the technology.
Right. Well, not necessarily. In this case, you're the baby by choice. Because if you stand up and you say no, that's bull, and you get people together, almost fight back. Yeah. Then you can put yourself in a vulnerable position.
Like a baby with a gun. Like a trained baby, like the Boss Baby, the movie. My number 2 point is the one way to do things approach. I'm messing up my own titles.
Okay, please, you're gonna have to elaborate because I have no idea what you're talking about.
So yes, when administrations offer one solution to a problem, you better hope it's one you agree with, right? I think that's something that we see a lot when they try to make it seem like, oh, this is the only way to fix this problem because it's the one we want.
Well, that or actually, I can't remember where I heard this the other day. It was saying whenever there's a problem, government likes to be very simplistic and say, you know what, more government's going to fix this. Do you really think more government is going to help less shootings happen? No. It won't.
I don't think more government helps really anything.
It really doesn't. And that's why, when people say big government, I'm like, yeah, I completely disagree with that. And that's something, the founding fathers, mainly Thomas Jefferson, were like, big government is horrible.
Yeah. And that's really why, like, we have the amendments we have, and that's why we have our gun laws, really,
right?
Our gun rights.
That was the entire point of the last episode, because that's what I was talking about. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this last time, that our gun laws, they don't give us our rights, right? The Second Amendment doesn't give us the right to protect ourselves against tyranny.
Right. We have
that's
that
a God-given
right,
but it's just secured by the Constitution.
Yeah. I think that's something we try to talk about whenever we can, just like how the Constitution just is a law securing right.
Right. Yeah.
So it's, if administrations come up with one solution, you better hope it's one you agree with, because if not, most likely half of the country disagrees, right? It seems like kind of 50-50 split right now, even though that's not what the media will tell you. They'll tell you it's that
it's 90-10 split in favor of the Democrats.
So, for example, gun control to stop shootings. A lot of people think that this is a good way to prevent shootings, but it's really not. Like, people think that instantly, if you make gun laws, that all of the guns are going to disappear.
Well, right, and that's what I was saying last time, how... what was the statistic? Not the statistic, but Colorado, where the grocery store shooting happened. I think this was a couple weeks ago, actually. They have red flag laws, like high capacity magazine ban, assault rifle ban. I can't remember exactly what I said, but they had all those laws in place, and the shooting still happened.
Wow!
Because that's kind of proving.
And even if, like, let's say Democrats and liberals win this gun war, right? They're not going to, because we're going to fight and win. But let's say they did, right? Hypothetically, it's not going to happen, guys. Don't worry. Don't turn it off because you think we're taking that side. They're not going to win. If they won and took away and made a mandate, return all your guns, turn them all in, the bad people are not going to.
Yeah. So the people in that case, I might just become one of the bad people.
You're just no. You can't say that. You're gonna get censored.
Well, listen. If they come knocking at the door, like, where are your guns? Like, sorry, I was on the boat last week and they sunk to the bottom. I lost all of them. Or
no, all the people that have guns, like, that aren't registered. I bet where most shootings happen and most bad people with guns probably are illegally bought guns or guns.
Most cases, yeah, because a lot of the guns that happen to be involved in mass shootings, they come from they're not purchased illegally. Where even though someone might not pass a background check, they'd still get the gun. That's kind of like people. Well, you don't actually have to have a background check to get a gun. Like, remember the gun show loophole? That's not a real thing, right? That's been tested out, where you cannot physically get a gun in your hands unless you pass the background check,
right? Unless
there is an error in the system, as was the case, I'm pretty sure, with the Colorado grocery store shooting.
And yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. That was good. So lots of people think that that's like taking away guns is a good way to prevent shootings, but lots of people are wrong in that case, because actually guns tend to save more lives than they actually take, because sorry, I don't know what I was saying. I was saying, yes, guns save lives.
Right.
They don't, bad people will take lives, but guns actually are designed for self-defense and protection. They're not designed to go out looking to kill people.
Right.
So guns...
Well, but a gun is a tool, so it just magnifies whatever you're thinking of doing. If you're like, man, I want to help so many people, I want to be someone who defends people, then I conceal carry, right? And when a situation arises where someone is in danger, I'll say, okay, I'm going to use my tool to save a life here. But that can go, on the flip side, where okay, I want to go take as many lives as possible because I'm angry, right? That's not taking away guns won't get rid of those people. They'll just, they'll either illegally get guns or kill people a different way. It's not
right.
Guns don't make people who they are.
So guns prevent an estimated 2.5 million crimes a year, or 6,849 every day. Most often, the gun is never fired and no blood, including the criminals, is shed. And every year, 400,000 life-threatening violent crimes are prevented using firearms. Both these statements are according to FEE.org, the Foundation for Economic Education. We'll have the link on our page.
So what that's saying is, like just pulling the gun out, you don't even have to fire it.
Yeah.
It's just like enough of a scare, like, okay, back up, I'm not going to...
And that's like, that reminds me of like a crazy story. Like, you can still go to jail for armed robbery if you don't have a gun. You can actually get charged with armed robbery. There was a guy who there was a guy who got charged. I don't remember where it was, but he put his fingers under his shirt, or he had a squirt gun. That's what it was. It was a toy gun, so it was the same shape, but he held it under his shirt up to the cashier at a gas station. Oh. And the guy gave him money, but somebody tackled him on the way out, and the gun was skidding along the road, and the guy goes, he has no gun, and that guy got charged with armed robbery because it's actually the thought of or the threat
that kind of makes sense,
the gun.
Right? Because if someone thinks that there's a barrel in their face or about to be, then that I would say that constitutes armed robbery.
Yeah. Because it's really the same thing. If you actually have a gun and don't shoot anybody, or if you don't have a gun but they think you do,
right? It's like having
and you're
a gun,
telling them you have a gun.
It's like having a gun with no rounds in the chamber.
Yeah,
it's still a gun,
and it's still armed robbery if you do that.
Right, that's what I'm figuring.
Yeah. So my number 3 point is the religion suppression, which kind of covers freedom of religion. So this is done in a more sneaky way, because if they did this, if they did this publicly and said they were doing this, like they want to take away guns, like people would be rioting like crazy, because this is actually why the Pilgrims left England, because they wanted so before
time to find a new
country,
America.
Yeah.
We'll take Greenland.
We'll just find an uncharted island somewhere. So they'll do simple things. In my Freedom of Religion segment a couple episodes ago, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Easy plug. I talked about how some churches are being told they won't be tax exempt if they refuse to perform gay weddings. And that's against some religions. That's
most of them.
A lot, yeah. And that doesn't sound like freedom of religion to me if they're not going to let them be tax exempt.
Well, that's kind of like the Christian baker who didn't want to bake the gay wedding cake. And I want to say he was 4 times they tried to sue him, maybe 3, or it might have been 3 different instances where it wouldn't happen, and he got mega backlash for that.
Yeah,
and now it's happening to churches.
Right. So I feel like the media is always trying to hate people who are really standing up for themselves and their rights, but we can't give in. Our founding fathers fought for these rights, and they are ours to protect. Freedom is never more than 1 generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where men were free. That's Ronald Reagan.
And what a guy.
That quote's from Goodreads.org. Obviously not from there, but that's where I found that.
You actually wrote the quote for him.
I did.
But yeah, because I think the reason the media hates people who stand up for their rights is because they won't be beaten into submission. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing that scares media, people who won't comply. And I think that in order to protect these rights that we're talking about, you have to be willing to not give in, because once you give in, they've won. Right. And you can't let them win in this case.
Yeah, I agree. So I'd say yes, a war is coming, not necessarily like a war we've had in the past. I don't think this is going to be gunpowder rifle.
Gunpowder rifle?
Yeah.
It'll be the assault rifle 15.
The muskets, just taking the pole. But a war for our very freedom instead, which is like before, but with a different way of fighting. We'll fight with our words, tell them that they don't have the right to take our God-given rights, and make sure that our words are heard. Make sure our voices are heard in this way. Not letting them suppress us because they have different ideas. It's so funny. It's actually really ironic how they'll say, we want black voices to be heard. We want all of these feminists want women's rights right now, and then they're censoring people that they don't agree with.
Well, and they'll even censor blacks and women who don't agree with them.
Right.
So you'll like
a black guy speaks out against Black Lives Matter, and he gets censored, and it's like, wait, guys.
Also, Breonna Taylor. Remember Breonna Taylor?
Yes.
Yes. Her mom just went on this huge rant talking about how Black Lives Matter has done absolutely nothing for them.
Wow.
I'm curious to see, because I think that just happened like yesterday. I'm curious to see how much media coverage that's going to get.
Yeah, probably none.
Probably
not.
My
guess.
All right. Well,
I have just my last cap off sentence because I like to have a strong. It's probably a school thing. They got me end with a strong sentence, but we need to tell them that they don't have the rights to take our God-given rights. We'll use our rights to protect our rights. Fight for your freedom. Fight for your children's freedom, and always fight for your country's freedom.
That was good. Excellent. All right. Well, as we spoke before, court packing. That was in our current events, and now I'm going to take it right into my segment, right?
Yeah.
So court packing, it was a huge part of the presidential race in 2020.
Yeah.
Almost like it was actually, we saw Donald Trump constantly asking Biden what his plans were for the high court, just like he asked about oil. Ultimately, on the first day of his presidency, Joe Biden canceled the Keystone Pipeline, killing thousands of jobs and raising the price of oil, which led to inflated gas prices around the country. As I've noticed, because now it's $60 to fill up my car instead of like $40.
Yeah.
That really makes me mad. I went to fill up today and it was $65 to fill up my tank. I hated that. But the point is that it's another broken promise by a swamp rat politician whose word means absolutely nothing. Half of the things, I don't even think he remembers what he says.
He definitely does not.
And there's a little part of me that thinks he's on a serious amount of drugs just to get through like a 5-minute speech.
Yeah.
Like we saw at the debates. It's like, Joe, there's something under your nose. Can you wipe that off for the camera, please? But whatever.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going with that.
But it was announced this week that a bill was put through Congress by the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee that would seek to expand the Supreme Court from 9 to 13 justices, as we mentioned before. For those who don't understand, the problem with packing the court is that it means that whoever is in power they can just add more justices as they wish. The Supreme Court's job is to interpret the Constitution, not rewrite it, right? But it looks like the left wants to rewrite it by adding what is it now? 4 radical progressive judges. And by adding 4 more justices, it would ensure a left-leaning court for as long as the justices are alive.
Right. And I bet if this happens, like this goes through, I bet we're going to have like 100 Supreme Court justices by like 2050.
And see, that's actually what I'm going to get into that. And in my honest opinion, I think it's really stupid, right? And I feel like a lot of people can agree with that. The Supreme Court has been at 9 justices since 1869. And I'm not saying it hasn't changed before, because it has. But I'm saying it shouldn't change anymore. One of the last times it changed was in 1863, when Abraham Lincoln added a judge from 9 to 10 justices to secure an anti-slavery majority. Now, people now would argue that this was a worthy cause. Right. That was that. Now, when I was reading, preparing my notes, they were saying that it was politically motivated, and which in the climate that it was in, yes, I would say that was politically motivated, but that was a worthy cause, right?
Yeah, I think he did a lot of things that were politically motivated in that time.
Right? Didn't he have a journalist arrested? I'm pretty sure Abraham.
I don't know,
but that's not even the point. I'm saying, what is the worthy cause now? The Constitution does not say anything about the number of justices on the High Court, so it is entirely left up to Congress to decide. The problem with that is that every time one party takes over for the other, there's an opportunity to flip the table and add or remove justices. And it has lasting effects on the nation, and it's not something that should continue.
Yeah, and now, I actually, sorry to interrupt, no. I actually think I disagree with that decision to add what Abraham Lincoln to increase the justice from 9 to 10. No matter the cause, because then that kind of opens the door. And I know I'm obviously against slavery, but I do understand what you're saying. But that wasn't the only time. There was I want to say 6 or 7. I'm definitely not right on the number. Times before that between George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, where it did change, and
almost every single one, actually, I think every single one of them was politically motivated.
Yeah.
And that seems like a repeating pattern now.
And if listeners don't understand what I was saying by like my disagreement, I was saying because like that means like half the country didn't agree with that decision, and he had to flip that majority.
But remember, it wasn't half the country.
Right.
It was two countries.
Right.
But
but this was after the war.
1863. Ended in 1863.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is I wouldn't agree with it either way, because let's say this goes through, right? 13 justices, and then let's say in 4 years there's a mega conservative majority, right? Mm-hmm. Congress and the presidency. Then what happens? You're gonna add 4 more? You're gonna add more just to preserve the majority? I mean, I really don't agree with that. And as you were saying, at some point, it's going to be an obscene number of judges.
What is it right now? It's 6-3?
6-3, yeah. So that would make it, what, 7-6?
Yeah, conveniently.
Yeah. So that would be, what, 7-6, and then all they'd have to do is add 2 more, and Republicans would have a majority then. So as you can see, it's just going to be a snowball effect. But that's
it's going to be whoever's president. There's going to be no more checks and balances. They're just going to be able to make whatever power move they want.
It's the big court.
Yep.
But now, this is not the only time that there has been an attempt to pack the court. FDR, which I think he was kind of like a commie. I kind of think he was a commie. In the 1930s, he tried to get the number up to 15 justices to support his New Deal legislation. Kind of sounds like today's situation, if you ask me.
Yeah, that was probably just motivated by him being like so tired of like, I mean, that was the worst economic crash our country's like ever seen. So that's kind of tough, but at the same time,
but packing the court to push the New Deal. Listen, I think this is kind of like a gateway for the Green New Deal to go through. Ooh. Can you imagine?
New Deal into Green New Deal?
That would be
that's a good
poetic
title.
justice. But he didn't succeed.
Right.
But you know what's great? Mm-hmm. In 1983, Joe Biden called expanding the Supreme Court a boneheaded idea. Man.
Yep.
You can
literally find this anywhere. You found this on Newsweek, but this is...
You can trust Joe Biden to counteract something he's saying now with something he said in the past.
Oh yeah, man. The contradictions are in every sentence, like it's within the same sentence. It's amazing.
It's like, I think court packing is a boneheaded idea, so I put together a panel of people to determine whether it's going to be a good idea, because I think it might be.
I'm so excited to see how this Green New Deal turns out in like Pennsylvania, and they're voting. I feel like everybody's just going to be like, but he said...
It's like you were played.
You told me you were gonna not do fracking.
You were
I'm
played.
going to do fracking. No fracking. Yes, fracking. We'll change his mind again.
Send the Keystone Pipeline to the guillotine.
Yep.
But during the 2020 presidential election, Biden said he was not a big fan of court packing, but that he would create a commission to make recommendations about reforming the court system because it was, quote, getting out of whack.
Yeah,
quote.
And he said that, but then he's not answering the question. Well, he just did a couple days ago, right? But before that, he had been completely avoiding the question. They'd ask him, "Are you going to pack the Supreme Court?" Let me tell you. Let me tell you why I'm not going to answer that.
Sorry,
because
I have to get in the
if
car.
I talk about that, that's going to be the only news headline out there. There's going to be no other news headline because that's what we want to know, Joe.
And you know what's funny? He said it was getting out of whack. Does getting out of whack mean there's more conservative justices than liberals? I mean, justices are not supposed to be conservative or liberal. Obviously, they lean in a certain way, but the Constitution is not, it's not political. It's not something that should be like up for different interpretation. Obviously, it is, right? That's just the nature of things. People are that way. But I think what he was admitting that they were considering adding justices because it was politically motivated, and it wasn't even hiding that. But the problem is, there's nothing stopping the Democrat Party from adding more. If they get the votes, it can be done. And if it does happen, and Republicans, whoever has the balls to do it, try to fix it, the only way to fix it is to add more justices, because chances are none of them are going to resign. It really has the cycle. It has the potential to become a cycle that fuels itself.
Yep.
So
It's going to be like the French Revolution. Just all the people are going to start uprising. Like, wait, you can't do that. That means... Wait, how long before all of us are Supreme Court justices?
There is now 320 million Supreme Court justices.
And whose vote matters more than whose? That's what we're going to have tiers of Supreme Court justices.
No, you won't even have tiers. It's just going to be everyone's on the same court, and you only have to win by one vote.
Yeah. So it'll just be whoever has more. The minority will never win. That's a democracy. That's their plan.
Wow.
We just figured it out.
Actually, now that I think about it, democracy is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. So, thank you very much for listening. This has actually been a pretty fun episode.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation here.
Yeah. Got some laughs.
Remember, we are doing our fundraiser. We're trying to raise $6,500. As I mentioned last week, we are 25% of the way there.
Woo.
You can donate on PayPal at donate.backontrack.com. Remember, share it with your family and friends as much as possible.
Yes, and we really are trying to push video. I know we say it every time, but we need a little bit more money to get there. We're very close. So thank you guys so much for all of your support. Make sure to smash the like button
if you're on YouTube.
Blue.
And if you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube and subscribe, because YouTube's the place to be right now, unless you're Steven Crowder.
Yes.
Remember, email all of your questions, thoughts, and concerns to info@backontrack.com. We are on most social media except Twitter now. Rest in peace. Instagram, our reels are funny. They're funny.
They're so funny. We're the best comedians we know.
TikTok, it's the same thing as Instagram Reels. However, it's a different platform, and you can get addicted to TikTok. So go over to TikTok and do that.
Yes.
Now, remember, subscribe, notifications on YouTube. And actually, if you follow us on your podcast platform, you'll see when our new episodes come out.
Yes. Also, when we say notifications from now on, I want someone to donate like $5, like specifically $5, and like leave a message. This is for a bell, so we can make a ding noise every time we say notifications. And you can know you did that.
Buy us a bell.
Buy us a bell. We want a bell. Like just like one of the handheld ones.
That's so specific.
It is so specific. But I want a note with it that says this is for the bell.
Give us $500 to fix our typewriter, because it's broken.
We do have a typewriter. It'll look really nice once you guys see it on video. But
yeah.
Anyways, we should wrap it up before they just they're already skipping. I can see the double taps on the screen.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. We will be back.
Yes.
Right? We will be back.
I will be back.
This has been the Back on Track podcast, and we are now
signing off.